Hi guys, Vanessa Wadesky here. I'm here with Tom Campbell, and it's MBT Monday, where we are going to help you build courage from chaos. And today we're talking about the ego. So Tom, can you tell us how do you define the ego according to MBT?
Ego is defined in MBT as awareness in the service of fear.
Right.
What that means is that your awareness, your consciousness, is making choices because it's driven by fear, as opposed to choices that are driven by love.
Right.
Choices that are driven by fear are all self-centered choices. It's all about you.
Yeah.
That's not fair. You owe me more. How could you say that? It's all about you. And when you make choices based on fear, you end up getting angry, getting upset, creating stress, feeling annoyed,
Right.
feeling unloved,
Yeah.
not appreciated.
Yeah.
You go through all of that because the fear of not being loved, not being good enough, not being adequate makes you take everything personally. And when you take it personally, it's about you.
Right.
And then when it's about you and it's not complimentary, then you get angry because it triggers that fear. So ego is a self-centered approach to life and to people that stems from fear.
Okay.
It's the way, it's the way your awareness, your consciousness is motivated. If it's motivated by fear, that comes out and is expressed as ego.
Okay. So how does it differ then from, who was it? Sigmund Freud, right? He's the one who made it.
Well, the model that MBT has and Freud's model are somewhat similar. We can use all of the same terms, but there's some big differences.
Okay.
One of them is that Freud looked at ego, and he was an experimentalist.
Right.
He just experimented and saw the way people were, and then he made his model to fit the way people were.
Right.
Well, the way people were is full of fear.
Yeah.
Everybody was up to their eyebrows in fear, and they still are today.
Yeah. So it's kind of similar in a sense that he saw the ego as these concepts of ourselves that we had.
Yes. Well, he saw ego in people because people had a self-awareness. Who they were, what they wanted, what they liked, what they disliked. It was kind
like
of
our personality.
It was their assessment and expression of themselves.
Right.
And he called that ego.
Right.
And because most people had it, and most people were somehow living an okay life.
Yeah.
For Freud, ego was a normal, healthy thing because he wasn't coming from a theory; he was just coming from practice.
From what he saw.
And everybody had it.
Yeah.
And he didn't come to the conclusion that everybody was suffering from a lot of fear.
Yeah.
He didn't notice that. So people had ego because it was fear, but in his mind, it was just a normal part of people being self-aware and having wants and needs that they wanted fulfilled and so on.
Right.
Now, all wants and needs are not necessarily ego. There's also consciousness, awareness in the service of love. And Freud recognized that as well, and he called that superego. The superego was when people were concerned about other, not about self. So if your consciousness in the service of love, that's superego.
According to
that's
him.
Altruism. That's what,
right.
How can I help?
Yeah.
What can I give?
Yeah.
Whereas the ego is, what can I get?
It's all about me.
What can you do for me?
Right.
It's all about me.
I see.
So those were the differences. But Freud also had a few other things. He had an id, which was your basic instinctual self, and then he had an unconscious self.
Right, subconscious.
Subconscious self, yes, that's better, a subconscious self. And that subconscious self was where a lot of your emotion and a lot of your fear and other things were. And he had that subconscious self as a part of every person.
And it was like the primary driver.
That's often the primary driver of people, and it was something that was out of sight. Right. That's why it was subconscious, because people would just get angry, but they didn't really know all the time why, and it was because they had some subconscious connection that I know you didn't, you see.
Right.
So the subconscious is kind of that dark place that you don't know about that drives a lot of your wants and needs. Well, in MBT theory, there is no such thing as a subconscious.
No such thing as a subconscious.
No such thing as a subconscious.
What?
When you have that fear and that anger and that stuff, it's not coming out of the subconscious. That's your fear. It's just your fear expressing itself in the world. Okay? Now, you may not be aware of that fear because you may have stuffed it down, under the rug where you can't see it because
submerged
you
it
don't want
beneath your awareness.
So you've denied it. It's not in your awareness. But that is not a healthy situation.
Right.
You see, that subconscious is you avoiding dealing with things that you don't want to deal with. Dealing with aspects of yourself, dealing with your emotion, dealing with your feeling, dealing with your fears, insecurities, all of that stuff's down there.
Yeah.
It's in your subconscious. So that's in MBT, we recognize that all that's hidden, but we don't say that subconsciousness is a part of our model of consciousness. See, Freud had a model of
the human psyche.
The human psyche, and that model had an ego and super ego and id and a subconscious, and everybody had those things.
Right.
But the way it turns out in MBT is that ego is really pathological. Ego is fear-based, which is what we're trying to get rid of. It's the stuff that's wrong. So by pathological, I mean that's illness, that's dysfunction. It's not good. So it's not a normal, healthy part of people. It's a part of people, yes, but it's the part we want to get rid of.
Right.
It's the part we want to exit, we want to throw away.
Yeah. And
so it's not this healthy thing. And as far as the subconscious, that subconscious isn't just a normal thing with people. We have the subconscious because we have all that fear that we don't want to deal with, which we stuff under the rug. So that subconscious is also a pathological thing that's not for normal, healthy people. It's for people who have fear, for people who are, not living up to their best potential because of this fear.
Right.
So when you get rid of your fear, you don't have a subconscious. When you get rid of all your fear, you see, you don't have
an ego.
You don't have an ego. You don't have any of yourself, any of your conscious awareness serving fear. Fear's gone.
Fear's gone.
So the ego's gone.
Right.
Okay, and you don't have a subconscious because you're aware of everything. Without the fear, you're not stuffing anything under the rug. You're not hiding. You're not in denial. So there is no subconscious. You're aware of everything. You're aware of your needs, your appetites, the things you want, the things you don't want. And all of that is perfectly okay because you are a secure, happy, authentic person rather than an image that you're trying to live so that other people will like you and all the things you're trying to hide that other people don't know. And that's the subconscious. So Freud had all these things, all these elements as normal, healthy parts of everybody's psyche. MBT doesn't. MBT says that ego is not a healthy part of anybody's psyche. It's the unhealthy part of people's psyche. And that subconscious only exists because of all the fear that's dysfunctional that people are trying to deny and hide and not deal with.
Right.
So you get rid of the fear and the ego and the subconscious disappear. And now you have a being that is made of love and caring. It's about other, and they're perfectly aware of everything in their consciousness. They don't have any part that's sticking under the rug because there's no reason to stick anything under the rug. Everything is fine. So all of the fundamental components really only boil down in a healthy person, which is a person without fear, only boil down to you have love.